circles. Al Unser is changing that. The Penske team's newest driver is having one terrific season. On the streets of Long Beach, Al took his first win in Roger's car. And then the big one. Junior chased teammate Emerson Fittipaldi in the closing laps. An MO mistake gave Al his second Indianapolis win. Last week at Milwaukee, Al scored again. Now 3 in a row with Penske cars 1, 2, and 3. But the season is more than Al. It is Penske. Emerson Fittipaldi scored the Phoenix win. The Nigel Bennett designed chassis is fast, no matter what engine it carries. The only other chassis to win this year was Michael Andretti's Renard, taking the season's first race at Surfers Paradise in Australia. A podium finish for father and son. The question mark is red number 1, defending PPG champion Nigel Mansell and his Newman Haas Lola. His season has been less than spectacular, with no wins thus far. And at Phoenix, a big mistake. Today, Nigel and the rest ask the same question. Can Al Unser be stopped? From the magnificent Belle Isle in the Detroit River, just off of Detroit on the border between the United States and Canada, ABC Sports presents the ITT Automotive Detroit Grand Prix. The official ceremonies are already underway down at the pit entrance. Let's go a little further up the pit road to Gary Gerald.
Paul, the recent dominance of the Penske team could be very seriously challenged here in the streets of Belle Isle today. And the man who's expected to do the bulk of the challenging, Nigel Mansell, who starts in the pole position. He had an electrifying qualifying run yesterday, broke his own track record by 1.5 seconds. He's a half second faster than the fastest of the Penskes. And that's Al Unser Jr., who's just alongside in the front row. Paul Tracy, Emerson Fittipaldi behind him in row 2. And if that's not enough incentive to beat that Penske juggernaut today, consider also $135,000 Marlboro bonus on the line if Nigel Mansell can win this race from the pole position. Now let's go back to row 3 and Jack Arute.
Gary, this logo was missing from the Indianapolis 500, but it's back in row 3 and back in Detroit with a vengeance. Part of the engine package for Rahal Hogan Racing, and Bobby Rahal has qualified quite well. It's a new, updated version of the Honda engine behind Bobby Rahal today, and people must remember that it took 3 years in Formula One competition before Honda was victorious. Many people feel it'll be sooner in IndyCar competition. Then there's the story of the 4th Brazilian in IndyCar competition. Mauricio Gugelmin, teammate to Michael Andretti, has qualified on the outside of that 3rd row. He hopes to join his teammate Michael Andretti in victory lane. Andretti winning for Renard first time out in Australia. He qualified far better than his teammate Andretti did here in Detroit. Paul?
Well, a little bit earlier, there was a threat of rain in the area. It seems to have dissipated for now, but we're going to be watching these skies behind us over downtown Detroit because that is from where the weather comes. Now, we mentioned Michael Andretti. He is definitely a car to watch here today. Every race at Detroit that he's been in, he's been starting on the pole. Not so today. He starts 17th. In his one victory in 1990, Michael Andretti ran every lap at the head of the race. But Michael Andretti now has a challenge ahead of him. The road courses are beginning. Michael scored his only win this year on a road course. In this next series of races for IndyCar, if Michael is going to get into that points fight, it is going to have to happen now. Well, now, though, we are ready for all 28 Indy cars to accept that command to start their engines. So let's go down at the starting line for those famous words.
Detroit's Mayor Dennis Archer.
Drivers, start your engines!
So there they are, Mario Andretti ready for his last start here in Detroit. The Penske team confident of victory once again. We will see if that happens. When we come back, we have more leading up to the start of the Grand Prix here in Detroit.
Alex Garcia enjoys his job, but after work is when he really gets his kicks. At IT.
The Renaissance Center, the centerpiece of downtown Detroit, not far away from Belle Isle. Just below the shot, The island itself and the racetrack. The Indy cars are already rolling on their parade laps. So let's take a look at the starting grid. On the pole is Nigel Mansell. He has only won once on a road course in his IndyCar career, alongside Allinger Jr. looking for 4 in a row. In row 2, Paul Tracy, a third last week at Milwaukee, and Emerson Fittipaldi, a 2-time winner here in Detroit. Row 3, Mauricio Gugelmin, the fastest rookie qualifier, and Bobby Rahal, the winner of the first race here on the island. In row 4, rookie Jacques Villeneuve. And Teo Fabi. In the first IndyCar race in Detroit, he finished 4th. Row 5, Mario Andretti and Robbie Gordon. Row 6, Stefan Johansson and Adrian Fernandez. Row 7, Ari Luyendyk and Raul Boesel. In the 8th row, Mike Groff and Christian Danner. Row 9, the 90 winner, Michael Andretti and Brian Herta. Row 10, Jimmy Vasser and Frederick Ekblom. Row 11, Scott Goodyear and Marco Greco. In the 12th row, Mark Smith and Dominic Dobson. Alessandro Zampedri and Scott Sharp make up row 13. And the 14th row, Buddy Lazier and Willie T. Ribbs. So that's the way they line up as the wind picks up here on the edge of the Detroit River. The question, Sam, is can the Penske team be beaten?
Oh, Paul, I think things are still wide open. After all, this is only the 6th of 16 races. And I believe personally that Nigel Mansell, the defending champion, is about to come on really strong. When you think of what's going on in the world of hockey with the Rangers and the Canucks, it just proves that in pro sports today, anything can happen.
No question about that. But Bobby Unser, the man who wins today, what's it going to take?
Well, Paul, I think that the driver that wins here today is going to be one with real courage. The track has mostly medium and fast turns. The slow turns really have no place to pass. Therefore, I think that passing here is going to become a factor of being brave and taking some real chances.
All right, so the cars are rolling. We're ready to start the pace lap, and when we come back, the green flag will come out over the Indy cars. Back at the ITT Automotive Detroit Grand Prix, the Indy cars are now on the pace lap itself. As the pace car begins to pull just a bit away, here is the challenge as we look ahead to 77 laps here. And Danny Sullivan, last year's winner, of course, is not racing in the Indy cars this year. Earliest possibility, we think, for a pit stop would be on lap 15. The view back from Nigel Mansell's car. One of the onboard cameras we'll have for you, as well as this magnificent view over the left-hand side of Robbie Gordon's car and Michael Andretti's car as well. Further onboard cameras throughout in the field as well will show